guys, Lululema here, and I wanted to show you guys how I install CC as of late 2025. There are a lot of programs that do something similar. However, this is my preferred method of doing it just because I find it the easiest to manage over time. So, with that being said, I will have all of the programs I'm using linked below so that you guys can go ahead and grab any of the programs I'm using. You can pick and choose what you want from what I'm going to show you just because I like a lot of CC in my game. I don't like a lot of CC that is broken or causing issues or just is honestly plain ugly once you finally get into the game. So I'm going to show you how I manage it all without spending a ton of time doing it, as well as how I download my CC without spending a ton of time managing the files. So the most important program in my opinion is going to go ahead and be a CC Magic. So basically what CC Magic does is manage Sims 3 content while also compressing it. There is a program like Sim3PE that also compresses files, however, it requires you to put in a lot more effort. CC Magic automatically does this for you because you don't want the files to be more than 1 gigabyte, as the game will struggle to read it, but it will also struggle to read if you just have a ton of tiny files, which is why we want to compress things. Here you can see the files that it supports. Personally, I convert my Sims 3 packs, and I will show you that because I prefer packaged files. However, it says you can do a Sims file, world files, and lot files, and I just don't, so I won't be going over this. Another program I strongly recommend is 7-Zip, and I will show you the difference as to why I prefer these, but you're going to need to go ahead and look up what type of a system you have. I believe this only works for Windows, as well as I'm not seeing a Mac version here, which is a bit unfortunate. In case you guys don't know how to figure out if you have a 32 or 64-bit computer, let me go ahead and show you. So you're going to want to go into your computer settings. You want to go ahead and head to System, and then all the way at the bottom, there is going to be an About tab. Go ahead and go in there. And then you'll see a tab that says Device Specifications, tells you like how much RAM, processors, all that fun stuff. But what you're looking for is actually system type. So I have a 64, and I would go ahead and download the 64-bit of a 7-Zip. We also have Delphi's Sims 3 Pack Multi-Extractor. So what this does is convert Sims 3 packs into packages, and you just have to go ahead and download it. And then the last program you will need is Regul Save Cleaner. This program is absolutely amazing. You're definitely going to want this because it just makes keeping your game files clean and organized really, really amazing, as well as creating backups, which I absolutely love because we all know that every Sims game is just not perfect and things go wrong from time to time, and this will just save you a ton of heartbreak. All right, so the very first thing I want to go ahead and show you guys is CC Magic. I want to show you the basics of it. So the very first thing we're going to do is show you guys how to make a folder. Normally, you only have the default folder here with none of these subfolders and a legacy folder. The legacy folder is for like everything you would not want to merge, like a mod, a slider, anything that's got like tuning to it. So this is for anything you don't want compressed, you don't want merged. It will keep it safe in the legacy folder. All right, so what you want to go ahead and do is make sure you're in the default category. You can do that by clicking it, and then you want to go down here to the bottom and click Add. And at the very, very bottom, it will create a new set. I'm going to go ahead and name it Tutorial for you guys so that you can go ahead and see. And then if you wanted to create a subset, you can just click on Tutorial here and then hit Add. And it will create a new set, which you can name whatever you would like. All right, but that doesn't tell you how to get CC to be recognized by CC Magic. So let's go ahead and go over that real quick. All right, I know there's a lot looking at the screen and you're like, what the heck is this? Anyways, this is the Downloads tab, and we want to also go to our Documents tab, Electronic Arts, Sims 3, and normally to install CC, you would go to your mods folder. However, we don't actually want to go to our mods folder. We want to head up to our downloads folder. All right, and really quick to show you guys the difference between WinRAR and 7-Zip and why I prefer 7-Zip. So with WinRAR, when you click this, you open it, you get a pop-up. It makes a pop-up telling you to buy WinRAR, even though you don't need to in order to use the program. And I find that incredibly tedious and annoying, and I hate it, honestly, so much. But I'm going to show you how to use 7-zip in order to make downloading CC less of a hassle and a more enjoyable process. So what we want to go ahead and do is highlight everything. Also, pro tip, if you come over here and you hit type, it will organize this by what you're looking for. Like you see how these are all WinRAR zips basically, and then it's separating it from the package files. Anywho's, highlight all of these zipped files, and then we're going to go ahead and right click them. We want to go down to show more options, and then we want to look for 7-zip and extract to here. If it's just one folder, this might have a name, but since we're doing a ton of folders, it's just going to put a star. It's just a visual placeholder. But all of these files will still have the same name, which I really, really like. And honestly, it can take a while if you have a ton of zipped folders like I do, especially if there's one that's holding a ton of content. So, you know, give it time to do its thing. It'll take a minute. That's okay. And you can see that it has made a folder that holds all of the items, and it's even named the same, which is absolutely beautiful. Love that so much. All right, and there's even a faster tip that I can give you guys to go ahead and go through CC really quick. This is a really great folder to show you just how annoying CC can be to download sometimes, but you'll click on it, and then it wants you to click on it again and again and again and again and again, and it took me like 5 separate subfolders to even get in here. Like, that's incredibly freaking annoying, and we don't want to move that into our game like that because it will struggle to read. So what you want to go ahead and do is go up to your search bar above, and you want to go ahead and type in package. Package is one of the most common Sims 3 file types, I want to say. I'm not super technical, but it's one of the most common file types that you're going to have for Sims 3 CC, and you can see that it has just selected all of these things. Go ahead and open. Now, there is a ton of CC here, and I don't recommend grabbing 1700 plus freaking items. Yeah, 1786 selected items. That is a ton of items. Personally, I would not recommend grabbing this many items. This is too many items, but I'm going to do it because these are actually all something that are already in my CC Magic folder, so it's not going to hurt me. I would only do like 100 at a time because CC Magic does have its limitations and you will cause some issues over time. It's very easy for it to get confused. So I would just do like 100 files at a time. All right, now that we've dragged every single file over into our downloads folder, they are all here. That is not the last step. If you want it to be extra thorough, the other most common file type for Sims 3 CC is Sims 3 packs, and actually you can see that we did need to be thorough, which is perfect. This gives me an opportunity to show you how to use another program. I also didn't really go over this, but I am a massive Sims player and I love CC and mods for all of the games. So I personally have a Sims resources folder that I put on my desktop, and then inside of it, it has resources for literally all of my games. The one that's important here is Sims 3. So we need our Sims 3 pack multi-extractor, and I'm going to show you how to set this up really, really quick. I would also go ahead and make a folder that is called something like Sims 3 packs just to keep it organized and just make it so you don't have to set this up every single time. So what we're going to want to do is browse and then go to wherever you have your file named, and then you want that Sims 3 packs folder. Go ahead and hit OK. And the next thing we want to go ahead and do is go ahead and select the destination. So hit browse in your documents tab down to electronic arts, down to Sims 3. We want the downloads tab, and we're going to hit OK. The Sims 3 packs that we have need to be moved over to the Sims 3 pack folder that we created. And then back in the Sims 3 pack extractor, installer, whatever you want to call it, go ahead and hit extract here. It'll say done 4 files in 1 second. Beautiful, we now have that. Go ahead and go into your Sims 3 pack folder and just empty everything out because it doesn't delete it for you. And then back in our documents, electronic arts, Sims 3, in downloads, all of our CC is here. However, if we go back into CC Magic, it is not there yet. What you're going to want to go ahead and do is hit refresh for everything to start showing up. And this could take some time. Down here, you'll see a loading bar. It's taking quite a while. This is because I did a ton of content. I would still recommend only doing 100 at a time as it can make a hot mess. All right, as you can see, I have an absolute frick ton of content here as I am scrolling. You have to use your mouse wheel to go ahead and scroll, by the way. This program relies on knowing a little bit more keyboard shortcuts, so I will show you those as well so you can easily move everything. But yeah, there is an insane amount of content as I have been scrolling this whole time that I am talking, and I'm going to show you guys how to go ahead and work through it. So I already know there is content in here I don't want, and it is going to go ahead and be some store content. So I'm going to go ahead and go up to this search bar here, and we want to hit Control A to select everything in our filtered search. We want to left click, and we want to drag over to the main file. Now, it's not really organized, it's all just in this store file, and we can go ahead and organize it further by, say, Object. You just hit Control A to select everything, left click and drag. Another option we could do is Clothes, and we can move everything over by hitting Control A, left and drag. Okay, cool. Now we've got it all organized. However, it's still not in our game. What we want to go ahead and do is go up here and hit Rebuild. This is going to merge and compress every single piece of CC we have in a 1 GB file so that the game can quickly and easily read things, reducing lag in game as well as like loading times. And it will take a while, but I do prefer this program as I don't have to manually do it. I don't have to ever unmerge or remerge the files. This does it all for me, and it's smart on its own, and I like the ease of access with it just because I don't want to fight with that. I've used Sim 3 PE and it was a fight every time. I accidentally ended up with duplicates. CC Magic is really good at catching duplicates, and it will automatically move the duplicate into your recycle bin instead of putting it into your game. Now, what we want to go ahead and do is it's still not in our game. We want to go over to configurations. We might have to hit refresh here again. That's fine. So we have our disabled sets and our enabled sets. The enabled sets are the sets that are in the game. The disabled sets are not in our game. If you wanted to move them all at once, you could go ahead and just hit either this option, and that will move all of the disabled sets to the enabled sets, or you could hit this option and that will move every enabled set to the disabled set. This is really good if you're trying to test out maybe new CC that you're not so sure of by a creator and you don't know if you'll like it. It's also really, really good for like the 50-50 method in order to see if the game is being broken by a specific CC. It just makes your life a million times easier, in my opinion. Another thing I want to go ahead and show you guys is you can delete these folders here. It will not remove the CC entirely. It just keeps going up and up and up until even you go all the way back to your default folder. If you truly want to delete it from CC Magic, go ahead and type in what you're looking for. Go ahead and select all, and then select delete. It'll ask you if you really want to delete this file because it's not just deleting it from CC Magic, it's deleting it from your computer. I do want to go ahead and delete all of these items. I am a-okay with that. And it may take a while. Like I said, there was like 300 files. It does struggle a little bit more if you're using a ton of files. So, you know, remember to be a little bit kind. Another thing to go over is you can't make too many subfolders. So if I wanted to organize everything by, say, gender for my clothes, and then I wanted to organize it by age, and then I wanted to organize it by, say, tops, bottoms, outfits, that's going to confuse the game. The game has never been good at reading folders that deep, so don't make your folders like this. You will give yourself an absolute headache. It'll take longer for your game to load, and it'll just be a really, really annoying process. How I choose to organize stuff, especially if it's by gender, is you want to go by unisex first. This is why I love this program personally, is it does it by the game files. Oftentimes creators, when they name their files, they'll use shorthand, they'll use abbreviations. Sometimes they won't even tell you what it's for. It's just the name of the item that they made up, and that's not really helpful when it comes to organizing a CC. So that is another reason why I really, really prefer this program over the others. I personally don't organize my unisex things as I'm just too lazy. I just have a folder called unisex literally, and I just move it over there. I don't care. And then another thing you can go ahead and do is start by searching female. I wouldn't start with male because if you see and I back up here and just type in male, female still shows up because male is a part of the female word. So just know that you may have some issues like that. If you're trying to organize by gender, there is somewhat of an organized way you have to do it. Again, Control A, left click, and then just drag it over to the main big folder. You can organize it further from there if you would like. Again, you can go male. You can go ahead and hit Control A and drag over to, oh, I have to scroll down a little bit further. There we go. Go ahead and drag over to male clothes, and you can even go ahead and organize this further. If I go into my female tab, I can see that I have things like accessories in here, and I would like those in a separate folder personally. So I can go ahead and go, accessory, not accessories. All right, and then say I wanted to organize my accessories further, I can go into my accessory tab and I can see that an in-game option, an in-game identifier is bracelets. So I can go ahead and move to bracelets, and it has all of my bracelets. I can go ahead and hit Control A, left click, drag, and you can do that so on and so on. So personally, when I'm designing my folders, I like to do it either by game files or the way in which I know I download things. I personally tend to download things in a very structured way. I like to download, say, all hairs for the day, or I like to go ahead and download all clothes. And I'll even take it a step further with buy specifically because I just simply cannot be bothered to be like, oh, this is a rug and this is a planter. I don't care, honestly. I will organize it by room category. So I will personally spend the day looking for a ton of bath items or a ton of bedroom items or decorations specifically. Like maybe I am looking for more rugs because rugs in The Sims 3 are very finicky and I want better rugs. So yeah, definitely a lot of ways in which you can organize this in order to make the game fit your desires a little bit more. And I would strongly recommend doing that. The last thing I want to talk about is where the CC is actually stored in your computer, because if you go in here, you can see that it's no longer in the downloads tab that we put it in, and obviously it's not in our mods folder. It is actually going to still be in your documents tab and electronic arts, but it is now in CC Magic. So if you go into the content here, it'll show you if you downloaded any corrupt files, it'll show you all your package files. Okay, Editor Luma, and I was testing this out for you guys. Like, I've literally already edited and uploaded the video, and I'm literally going to take it down and re-upload it for you guys because this is awesome to learn. Anywho's, I was testing with the XML and tuning of files inside of CC Magic, so if you do accidentally put them in, so these are all XML tuning files. If you do accidentally go ahead and put these inside of CC Magic, you can just go ahead and go into the default tab for them. Oh, I have to scroll down a little bit here. So go ahead, hit Control A, left click, drag. You can move it over to your legacy folder, which is your mods folder over here, if I could find it. And all of those files will end up inside of your mods folder. So I didn't know that until today. Really nice thing to learn, makes my life a million times easier, and I hope it makes your guys' life easier. Anywho's, bye! The only other word of advice I have for you is don't touch this clear cache button. I don't recommend it. This has created issues for me before, and I do think it comes back to just the limitations that CC Magic can have at times when it comes to handling a ton of files. Do not hit clear cache. I have had this just create absolute nightmares to go ahead and manage to the point where I deleted everything. I didn't care anymore. So what I strongly recommend instead is the Regul Save Cleaner. Again, the link will be down below for this. And what this program does is help clean up cache files as well as kind of like additional files that will weigh down your saves over time. So I really, really love this program. Again, if we go to my desktop, I have my Sims resources, Sims 3, Regul Save Cleaner. You want to go ahead and just launch the application. It looks like this. All right, so all of your saves are going to be up top here. You can go ahead and select, deselect, select them all, deselect them all, whatever you want. I personally know that I have done this recently, so we might not see any changes. I'm going to go ahead and select all of my saves. And then in cleaning options, I like to remove family portraits and portraits of families. Honestly, there's more options, but I don't use them. I don't know what they do. I don't recommend them because I simply don't know. So I go with what the program recommends. I just remove family portraits and portraits of Sims, as this information can go ahead and weigh down the game. We can go ahead and minimize that. Another option you can go ahead and do is create backups. Like I said, my file path is desktop, my Sims resources folder, Sims 3, and then I have another folder called backups, and that is my preferred pathing for that. But that'll do is create a backup of the save, so if anything goes wrong during your gameplay and you want to back up, you didn't want that to happen, I prefer this method. I find that to be a little bit more useful, especially as a content creator, than going back to a previous save, because maybe something went horribly awry in my game because I installed something that caused a lot of problems. I don't necessarily mind chaos in my game, but I don't want chaos from a mod, right? So, and this can be absolutely beautiful. I tend to just have this on, and I tend to use Regul Save Cleaner every time I'm done with a gameplay session that I enjoyed. Now, clearing cache will go ahead and delete all of the excess files that end up in your documents folder that can cause issues, especially if you've installed or removed custom content and mods. This is something you want to go ahead and be doing regularly. I personally like to use this every time I add or remove a CC and mods. I also like to use this every time I launch my game. I personally have found this to make my game run a million bajillion times smoother. And all you have to do for all of these settings to be set to every single one of your saves is just hit start cleaning. You can see I've done this already, so there's nothing that's been changed. There's no files that have been deleted, but there will generally be a much more informative thing that shows up in this window. And I personally love this because I don't have to remember every single file that is safe to delete that the game will automatically regenerate as it is loaded and as you play it. This just makes it so much easier. I also like that it creates a backup because, again, I just can't remember every single file that is important to back up to keep a save in case something goes awry. I really like the ease of access for the user, and honestly just the less brain power for me because I, like I said, play all the games. It's too much information for me to remember. This makes my life a million times easier. And that is it for the tutorial on how I install CC. If you guys are ever looking for CC, by the way, I do have a Tumblr. It is in the description below. I do have two separate pages. I have resources, which is either master lists or creators of CC that I think make really good content or just contain really good content that I have in my game. Sims 3 finds tab is a little bit different. That's stuff I saw on Tumblr that I thought was cool, but isn't necessarily something that's in my game or that I've verified is super cool. So like, just know that that is the difference between the two. If you guys found this video helpful, go ahead and leave a like as it really does help me out as a smaller content creator. If you guys are still lost and needing more help, go ahead and leave a comment. I'm not the most technical person in the world. I've pretty much told you everything I know, but I will try my best to still help you. Maybe other people in the comments will be able to help you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to catch you in another video.